Okay, I'm going to show a little bit about viewports and a little bit about annotative dimensions. So let's get started. So here you have this is like the basic ISO template in AutoCAD, nothing fancy. I just get rid of the grids. So there, a little bit cleaner. I'm going to make a circle, just small circle. So say like that. Put a dimension on it. It's actually a little bit too big. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. You got the circle, small circle, 33 mil across. I'll make a copy of it. Put it over here. You see, this thing is dimension that you see here is like a standard dimension. And you can tell it's a standard dimension by if you go into the annotation panel, you can see the default settings. If I click on this, it's at ISO 25. So the dimension I just put on there was at ISO 25. There's three different default dimensions: annotative, ISO, and standard. So if I change it to the annotative and set it, and for that I'll put it at this circle over here. You see it's the same. It looks pretty much the same. But there's a big difference. By changing the annotative scale of the current view from 1 to 1 to 1/2, and then turning off this show annotative objects, it disappears when I change from 1 to 1. So I go with 1 to 1, it's there. Now it's gone. At all other values, it doesn't show up. Whereas this one stays the same. And this can be controlled via the properties panel. So here, if I select the properties panel, you can see annotative scale 1 to 1. I can put a scale 1/4, 1/2, whatever I want. Put quarter on there. So now if I select 1/4, the dimension shows up larger format. But this one stays the same. So how does that help? Well, it helps in using especially the layout and the paper space. So if I open the Style Manager and go into Modify, there's a key, there's a lot of settings here you can do on these dimensions, but one of the key setting is the text height. And this is the paper text height. So in other words, it'll be 2.5 millimeters paper text height, always at the scale 1 to 1. And if I change from 1 to 1 to 1/4, this will be 2.5 mil paper space. So going into Layout tab, this is paper space. Inside the layout, you have a viewport. You can delete the viewport if you want. You can make a new viewport, single, and then I like to fit the viewport, F, and you see the viewport fits to the entire size of the sheet. So if I double click it, I activate this viewport, and then I can pan left or right, whatever, zoom in or out. It's like a window into model space looking from above. So model space, viewport. Here, if I set the viewport scale to 1 to 1, you see I got both dimensions. If I change it and set the viewport scale to 1/2. The annotative object goes away. But if I then put it to 1/4, here it's back again. So what's the advantage? Well, for one thing, if I want to put a leader on here, default leader, maybe I'm at 1/5 scale here, and I want to write something like overview of circle. Jump back. Set this to 1/5 scale. Like this, and then the viewports are really good because you can sort of, you can do whatever you want with them. Like, you can make them small. I can copy the viewport. I could double click it. I could lock it. I could unlock it. So here I'm going to unlock it. This time you have at 1/5 over here on this one, double clicking it's activating it. I could see it's at 1/5. If I then jump over to this one, I could see this is also at 1/5. But I want to zoom in a little bit on this circle. So I'm going to set it at 1:1. Wow, suddenly I can see the circle at 1:1 and the dimension, annotative dimension. And here I can see that this dimension text height is 2.5. So if I didn't print this page, the text height will be 2.5. And also the text height will be, let's see, I'm not sure what the text height I had set for this one. Let's see, you can go in and check it. Standard modify. Text height, in this case, it's 4 millimeters, but you can change that to say to 2.5 if I wanted to match the close. See, now it's changing. So now you see these text heights are the same size. So it's a huge advantage, especially if you want to have a detail. Like I could even make if I double click this, I could zoom in and say if I want to put let's say this is a notch here at the top. Like that, and say if I want to even zoom in closer on this, I could do a viewport down here, make a small viewport, zoom in on this, say I want to get real close to this notch, even closer, say, go 4 like that. And I could double click it and put first of all, I like to lock the viewport so it doesn't move around, but if I put a dimension across this, annotative dimension, there you see it's the same. This dimension there, paper space wise, is the same size as this one, and this one is, they're all the same size. So you can just use your imagination to figure out all the different things you can do with this new found knowledge. So that's it. Good luck.